The sky had been burning for 7 days. Smoke covered the stars. The world of Nyla was once full of colors, forests, and peace. Now it was only silence, fire, and falling ash. Buildings made from glowing crystal were turned into black dust. The great towers of the eastern peaks had fallen. The people of Nyla, small, feline-like aliens with soft fur, pointed ears, and glowing tribal markings, were once protected by many galactic empires. But when war came, all of them turned away. The Federation claimed it was not their fight. The trade ring said the cost of helping was too high. Even the Peace Guild offered only silence. One by one, they left the Nylari to face extinction. Alone, Kari crouched behind a broken wall, her breath shaking, her eyes wide with dust and fear. She was young for a scout. Her blue fur was scorched in places, and her arm was cut badly. She clutched a crystal knife, though it was more for comfort than defense. She had not seen another survivor in 2 days. The screams had stopped. Now there was only wind. She heard movement. Quickly, she pressed herself flat against the stone. Her cat-like ears twitched as she listened. The enemy had drones, fast, floating, and with red scanning lights. If one found her, she was done. They called themselves the Skarn, a machine race with no faces, no voices, and no mercy. They wanted Nyla's energy core. They had no use for the Nylari people. But the sound she heard wasn't a drone. It was footsteps, heavy ones, not Skarn, too soft, too human. She peeked out, and what she saw made her heart freeze. A figure stood alone in the ruined square, wrapped in dark armor, holding a strange weapon that hummed softly. It wasn't a Skarn. It wasn't Nylari. It was tall, broad-shouldered, and breathing heavily. A human, one of the species from Earth. She had only seen them in old vids. Humans were rare, strange, and fierce. Most Nylari didn't trust them, but this one was alone, dirty. His armor was scratched. His helmet was off, and his face was covered in soot and blood. But his eyes weren't cruel. They were searching. Kari didn't move. She was scared. What was a human doing here? The war had driven everyone away. Why would one come back? The human turned slowly. Then he whispered something into his comm. Kari didn't understand the words, but she saw his face tighten. He lowered his weapon. Then quietly, he walked toward one of the fallen Nylari children lying on the rubble, unmoving. He knelt, checked the pulse, and for a moment, everything in him stopped. Then Kari saw him whisper again. Gently, he closed the child's eyes, and then, suddenly, he stood. "I know you're watching," the human said, looking directly toward the ruins. "I'm not your enemy." Kari didn't answer. He took off his gloves, lifted both hands. "I came back," he said quietly. "When everyone else left, I couldn't walk away." Kari stepped out, her knife still in her hand, though it trembled. The human didn't move. He simply looked at her, tired, sad, but not afraid. "Why?" Kari asked. Her voice was hoarse. He looked around. At the ash, at the bones, at the dead city that once sang. "Because someone had to stay," he said. Kari's hand lowered, and for the first time in days, the wind seemed to slow. The fire, for just a second, felt further away. Kari didn't know why she trusted him. The human didn't look like a hero. His armor was half broken. His face was scratched. But when he moved carefully, not like the Skarn who marched without fear. He walked like someone who had seen too much. He told her his name was Alex. She didn't give her name back. Not yet. They sat inside a collapsed transport station as the sun disappeared behind ash-filled clouds. The walls were cracked, but the roof held. Kari watched him check his weapon, clean the barrel, and patch a small wire that sparked in his wrist unit. He was working like he didn't want to stop. She kept glancing at him. He was strange. His skin didn't glow. His eyes were small and his voice was deep. She had never seen a creature like him up close. But he had offered her food. It came from a small packet, and it smelled odd. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She took it without a word. He finally spoke again. I came with a small unit. 5 of us, he said. We heard the others pulled out. We didn't agree. Carrie frowned. Why would you come for us? We are no one. Alex looked up. You were someone before the war, he said. That didn't change just because people stopped watching. Carrie didn't know how to answer that. No one had spoken to her like that in weeks. Most had either screamed or vanished. Her mother, her father, gone when the barracks fell. She was alone until now. She pointed at the small blinking device on his belt. You call others with that? Alex nodded. It's a short-range beacon. We used it to track survivors, but it's almost dead now. Signal's too weak. Last I heard, one of us was still out there. Corporal Danai. Kari blinked. Another human? Yeah. She's tough. And stubborn. If she's alive, she's looking for survivors too. Carrie glanced at the grayed-out sky. She didn't know how far this other human could be. The Skarn were everywhere. The air itself felt like it wanted to kill. Then Alex stood. He pointed toward the back of the station. There's a signal tower nearby. Crashed but maybe functional. If we boost the beacon through it, maybe she'll hear. Carrie hesitated. It's dangerous. He nodded. Everything is. Carrie thought for a moment, then slowly rose. Her knees were weak, but her grip on the knife was steady. I will guide you, she said. Alex looked at her surprised. You don't have to. No one else will, she replied. Everyone else is gone. They left the shelter quietly. The ruins stretched like bones under the red sky. Every sound echoed, every step risked attention. The tower was only a few blocks away, but it felt like a world apart. On the way, they passed a collapsed building. Alex slowed down, and Kari followed, his gaze. Inside, half buried in rubble, was a Nylari flag, torn and burned. She saw him pause. I read about your people, he said. Your culture, songs, poems, the glowing trees. Kari nodded softly. They're all gone now. No, he said, not if you're still here. She didn't reply, but for the first time something warm moved inside her chest. When they reached the base of the broken tower, it was worse than expected. A Skarn patrol hovered nearby. 2 drones, 1 walker unit. Alex ducked behind cover. Carrie joined him, heart racing. You stay here, he whispered. No, she said quickly. We do this together. He looked at her, really looked, then gave a short nod, and together they made their move. The broken tower loomed above them like a dead tree. Its top was snapped off, and the steel ribs twisted into the sky. The cables had fallen across the street like spider webs, some still sparking faintly. Around its base, the Skarn patrol moved, in quiet circles scanning every shadow. Carrie and Alex crouched behind a rusted transport husk, both breathing slowly. The wind shifted, carrying the static hum of the drones. Alex studied the patrol. 2 small hover drones drifted in wide loops, their red lights sweeping back and forth. The 3rd machine was heavier, a walker, with long metal legs and a scanning eye that blinked like a pulse. Kari felt sweat under her fur. Her heart pounded, but she didn't move. Alex reached into his pouch and pulled out a small device. It looked like a ball with a blinking green light. What is it? Kari whispered. MP. Pulse. It'll short the drones, but not the walker. She nodded. I will distract it. You reach the tower. He turned sharply. No. Too risky. You came to help us, she said softly. Now let me help you. Alex stared at her, then nodded once. On my mark. They waited. The wind carried ash. The drones moved closer. When the moment came, Alex threw the device high into the air. It exploded with a soft pop, just light and a strange pulse. Both drones dropped instantly, their red eyes fading to black. The walker paused, confused, then turned toward the source. That's when Carrie sprinted. She ran into the open, waving her arms, screaming in her native tongue. The walker locked onto her instantly, its eye flashing. It moved fast, legs striking the ground like hammers, but Carrie kept running, zigzagging through the rubble, leading it away from the tower. Alex moved. He sprinted low, staying behind cover. He reached the tower's access panel and pried it open. Inside, wires hung like vines. He pulled out his beacon, connected the cable, and began to route the signal through the tower's damaged circuits. Carrie dodged a laser blast. It hit the ground beside her, throwing dust into the air. She ducked behind a stone wall. The walker advanced, its eye glowing bright. She had nowhere else to go. But just before it fired again, a sharp sound cracked through the air. Alex had pulled out his rifle and fired a burst into the walker's side. The shots didn't destroy it, but they made it turn. The machine scanned, for him, shifting targets. Its eye focused. Alex didn't flinch. He fired again. And again. The walker returned fire. A bolt struck the wall beside him, sending sparks into his face. But he stayed low and kept working the panel, one hand typing, one holding the rifle. Kari saw her chance. She grabbed a fallen spear from the ground, an old Nylari ceremonial weapon, mostly used in dances before the war. She leapt from cover and charged the walker from behind. With a cry, she plunged the spear into the joint of its back leg. The walker stumbled. Alex took the shot. One final burst to its eye. The machine went. Dark smoke hissed from its joints. It crashed to the ground, lifeless. Kari dropped to her knees, panting. Alex finished rerouting the beacon. A soft beep confirmed it. Signal sent, he muttered. If Danai's out there, she'll hear it. Kari looked at him through the dust. You risked your life for that. He looked back. So did you. They sat in silence for a moment. Then through the speaker on his wrist, a static-filled voice broke through. Repeat. Hearing signal. This is Danai. Location received. Alex's eyes widened. She's alive. Kari didn't smile, but her eyes softened. The human wasn't alone anymore, and neither was she. The voice from the wrist communicator crackled with life. Carrie had never heard such a sound before, so broken, yet so full of hope. I'm moving toward the signal. I have one survivor with me. Please respond. Alex quickly pressed the reply button. Danai, this is Alex, I'm alive. I found one survivor too, a Nylari scout. We're 5 blocks east of the signal point. Are you mobile? The static answered for a second, then the voice returned. Barely. Skarn ambushed us near the old crystal market. I've got a wounded kid and only half a mag left, need cover to cross. Alex looked at Carrie. She was wiping dust from her arms, eyes still sharp despite her exhaustion. How far is the crystal market from here? He asked. Not far, she said. But it's open ground now. Very dangerous. Alex nodded. We go anyway. They moved fast through the back streets, avoiding broken machines and collapsed walkways. The wind was getting colder. Kari didn't know if it was weather or just the feeling of everything dying. The once beautiful city had become bones and smoke. Alex stopped at a broken wall and raised his scope. Across the wide empty plaza stood the remains of the old crystal market. A glowing tower once filled with Nylari lights and voices. Now it was a shattered skeleton, and near its base they saw movement. A figure crouched behind debris, dragging another smaller figure with her. Danai. Alex's eyes lit up. That's her. She had short-cropped brown hair, one arm tied with fabric, and her armor was dented, but she still held her rifle steady. The child with her was a young Nylari, no older than 6, shivering under a torn cloak. But between them and Danai was the real danger. 2 Skarn units stood in the open. One was a tall enforcer model with double pulse cannons, the other, a hovering observer drone scanning the ruins with its red eye. We can't take them both head-on, Carrie whispered. Alex scanned the area again. I'll draw the enforcer. You take out the drone. Danai moves when the path is clear. Carrie took a slow breath. Her fingers curled around her old crystal knife. She was scared, but something inside her had changed. Being with Alex made her feel like she could fight again, like survival wasn't a mistake. Alex stood up, grabbed a metal pipe, and threw it hard toward the far wall. It clanged loudly. The enforcer turned. Alex opened fire. The Skarn machine roared to life, charging toward the sound. Carrie bolted into action. She dashed low through rubble, getting closer to the drone. It hadn't seen her yet. Alex ran, diving behind cover as the enforcer's cannons blasted apart the concrete. The ground shook. Sparks flew. Donai saw him and shouted, "Still a show-off!" Alex grinned and yelled back, "Still breathing." Carrie leapt from behind a beam, launched her knife with precision, and hit the drone's sensor. The machine sparked and dropped. Donai wasted no time. She picked up the child and sprinted across the clearing. Alex fired again, hitting the enforcer's shoulder joint. It stumbled. Donai slid behind a wall near them. "We're clear." Carrie ran back toward Alex. He shouted, "Fall back." The enforcer charged one last time, but Carrie threw a nearby fuel cell at its feet. Alex aimed. Fired. The explosion lit the plaza in blue flame. When the smoke cleared, the Skarn enforcer was a twisted pile of metal. They all collapsed behind the eye. Wall breathing hard, Donai looked at Carrie. "So you're the scout he found," she said, nodding. "Glad you made it." Carrie just nodded back. "You too." Alex looked between them. "Now we've got 3. He glanced down at the little Nilari child holding Donai's hand. "Make that 4. In a city of ash, a small circle of life had formed, and the fire hadn't reached them. Not yet. The 4 of them took shelter inside a collapsed learning dome. The roof had fallen halfway, but the energy walls still flickered faintly, blocking the wind. Kari curled up beside the small Nilari child, who clung to her without a word. The child had not spoken since they found her. Only wide, silent eyes. Donai sat with her back against a pillar, holding her injured arm close. She had a long burn across her side but didn't complain. Alex crouched beside the old console, checking the beacon again. The signal was weak, barely. A pulse now. He slammed the casing softly. "Battery's almost dead," he muttered. "If we're going to get out of this city, we need a real signal boost." Donai looked up. "Extraction team?" He nodded. "If any Earth ships still, in orbit, or listening." Kari glanced around the dusty room. Once, Nilari children used to sit here and learn songs and poems. Now the walls held only cracks and silence. "What is your home like?" Kari asked suddenly, her voice quiet. Alex blinked. "Earth?" She nodded. He smiled a little, surprised by the question. "It's messy, loud, lots of colors. Different places, different people, but it's alive and stubborn. It keeps fighting." Kari looked down at the floor. "We were like that once." "You still are," Alex replied. The child beside Kari looked up at him. Donai leaned forward. "There's one place we haven't checked yet. The comm relay station in the north sector. It had a backup grid. Might still work." Alex thought for a moment. "That area's crawling with Skarn." Donai smirked. "So was the last one." Carrie stood. "I know a path. Underground. It's old. Abandoned tunnels. Not safe, but quiet." Alex gave her a tired but grateful nod. They packed quickly. Time was thinning. Food was low. Ammo lower. But their steps were sure. Together they moved through shadow and ruin. The tunnel entrance was hidden behind a collapsed fountain. Kari found the access panel buried under rubble. With her small claws, she pulled wires and triggered the old lock. A hiss of stale air escaped as the door slid open. Inside, the tunnel smelled of dust and rust. Old lights flickered above, casting ghostly shadows. The child held Donai's hand tightly. Her glowing markings flickered dimly, responding to fear. They walked for over an hour, through twisting halls and forgotten machinery. Once they passed skeletons, Nilari engineers who had taken shelter and never made it out. Kari looked away. They were almost at the end when the rumble started. Alex raised his hand. "Stop." The ground trembled. Then came the metallic screech. For more. The tunnel ahead, A Skarn crawler burst through the wall, long, snake-like, with snapping metal jaws and 10 grasping limbs. Danai shoved the child behind her. Move back. Kari froze. The crawler scanned them with glowing red eyes. It lunged forward. Alex raised his rifle, fired once, twice. The shot sparked off its armor. Danai fired too. Still nothing. Then Kari screamed, not in fear, but anger. She charged with her old knife, slashing at the crawler's leg joint. The machine screeched. Alex saw the exposed wire, took aim, fired one clean shot. The crawler jerked, sparked, and slammed into the wall. Silence followed. Kari fell to her knees. Breathing hard, Alex rushed to her. You okay? She nodded slowly. I don't want to be weak anymore. He helped her up. You're not, he said. They reached the end of the tunnel, opening into the outer wall of the relay station. The sky above was darker now. Thunder rumbled far away, but in front of them stood hope, battered and broken but standing, a place where a signal could reach the stars, and maybe bring help. The relay station looked like it had been struck by lightning. Half the structure was collapsed, its walls cracked, and smoke still drifted from its damaged roof. Vines had started to grow through the broken tiles, curling around rusted consoles and shattered light panels. But at the far end, deep inside, the main terminal still glowed weakly. Alex stepped in first, his rifle raised. Kari followed close behind, holding the child's hand. The girl was trembling again, but her small feet kept moving. Danai brought up the rear, covering their tracks with sharp eyes and a slow limp. The silence was thick. Then Alex spotted the console. There, he said. The group gathered around it. Alex connected his beacon to the mainboard, and lines of old code flickered to life. The screen blinked, then steadied. Danai watched the hallway. We don't have much time. Skarn will track us. Alex's fingers moved fast. He rerouted the power. The signal bars climbed 1, 2, 3. Kari looked at the numbers like she was watching magic. Can it reach your people now? She asked. Alex nodded slowly. If anyone's listening, they'll hear this. Danai knelt beside the child and wrapped a cloth around her cold hands. Let's hope Earth hasn't forgotten us too, Kari whispered. Everyone else did. Alex heard that, but he didn't answer. He just pressed send. The signal went out. Far, beyond the clouds, past the burnt sky and drifting satellites, the pulse shot toward deep space. One signal, one last call. As they waited, Alex leaned back against the wall. His armor creaked. His eyes closed for just a moment. Then Kari's ears twitched. She heard something. Footsteps. Not one. Not two. Many. Danai raised her rifle. Skarn. They found us. Alex stood. We hold here. Kari's eyes widened. We'll die here. No, Alex said. Not today. They moved fast, taking cover behind old terminals and shattered walls. The child hid behind a supply box, shaking silently. The first Skarn burst through the side door, four-legged, with glowing saw arms. A second followed, then a third. Alex opened fire. Danai too. Kari ducked low, grabbed a fallen spear from the floor and joined them. The fight was loud. Metal sparked. Smoke filled the air. Kari slashed one of the Skarn's joints, making it fall. Danai hit the core of another. It exploded in a flash of blue flame, but they kept coming. More than before, Alex's ammo clicked dry. He looked around. They were surrounded. Then a sound shook the room. A deep, thunderous roar from above. A spotlight burned through the broken ceiling. Engines. A ship. Kari looked up, eyes wide. What is that? Alex smiled. Home. Through the smoke, a dropship. Descended. Earth colors, human markings, weapons armed. It hovered just above the ruined roof. A voice came through the comms. This is Captain Ross of the Earth Ark vessel Tiberian Dawn. We received your signal. Extraction window 90 seconds. Move. Alex grabbed the child, pulling her close. Danai helped Kari climb debris as the drop ramp opened. The Skarn charged one last time. Then the ship's cannons fired. A wall of fire and thunder pushed the enemy back. Kari turned once before stepping inside. She looked at the ruins, her city, her people's last breath, and she whispered, "We're still here." Alex pulled her onto the ramp. The ship rose. The last signal of Nyla had reached the stars, and someone had answered. The dropship soared through Nyla's blackened sky. Below them, smoke still rose from shattered towers and glowing battle scars. The once beautiful planet looked like a dying star from above, dim, broken, and silent. Inside the ship, the air was cold but breathable. Lights flickered gently and the low hum of engines filled the space. For the first time in days, they were safe. Kari sat in one corner of the cabin. The young Nilari girl curled asleep in her lap. The child's breathing was slow, peaceful. She hadn't spoken yet, but she held on to Kari's hand tightly. Alex stood near the rear hatch, talking to the pilot through a small terminal. Dani leaned against the wall, eyes half closed. Her bandage was clean now. A med drone had already started stitching her wound. Kari looked at everything around her. The thigh, ship, the walls, the blinking lights. It was all strange, made of hard metal and cold colors. But it was also alive, not abandoned, not quiet like her home. Alex returned and sat across from her. "We're heading to orbit. The main Earth arc is waiting just beyond the planet's edge," he said. "It has food, medicine, warm beds." Kari nodded slowly. "But not my people." Alex's face softened. "No, but it has space for the ones who remain." She looked down. "You were the only one who came?" He nodded. "We didn't have orders. We just knew it was wrong to leave you behind." Kari looked at him. "Then you are not like the others." Dani smiled faintly. "We're human. We're stubborn like that." The ship rocked slightly as it left the atmosphere. Kari saw stars again through the viewport, not blurred by smoke, not burning, just clear, endless stars. Soon the ark came into view, a massive ship floating like a giant beast in space. Lights moved across its long arms. Shuttles flew in and out. It looked like a city in the sky. Kari whispered, "It's beautiful." Alex smiled. "It's home for now." When the dropship docked, the door opened into a wide hallway filled with soft light and human crew. Some wore armor, some wore medical suits, but all looked surprised when they saw Kari and the child. A commander stepped forward. She was older, with gray streaks in her hair and calm eyes. "You're the ones who sent the beacon?" Alex saluted. "Yes, ma'am. Survivors from Nyla." The commander looked at Kari. "We didn't think anyone was left." Kari stepped forward slowly. Her voice was firm. "You didn't think that was the problem." The room went quiet, but the commander nodded, respectful. "You're right, and we'll do better now." Kari didn't smile, but she appreciated the truth. They were taken to a clean room, warm and quiet. The child was given water and food. Danae collapsed into a medical bed and finally let herself rest. Alex sat near Kari. "You okay?" he asked. She thought for a moment, then nodded. "I think, yes." For the first time, she felt safe, but she also felt something else. Alone. "What happens to us now?" she asked. Alex looked out the window where Nyla hung like a fading light. "You live," he said, "and we help." Kari leaned back, watching the stars. She didn't know what future waited, but at least there was one now, and all because one human chose to stay when the galaxy had turned away. Days passed on the Earth arc. Kari had never felt time move this slowly before. There were no bombings, no running, no smoke or blood, just silence, soft lights and routine. It should have been peaceful, but she felt restless. The little Nilari girl, now called Eerie, had started speaking in whispers. She stuck close to Kari's side, always watching the humans with curious eyes. Dani was healing well, her body regaining strength fast. She had already begun training drills again, as if war might come tomorrow. Alex spent most of his time in the command deck. He spoke with Earth officials, gave mission reports, shared everything he knew about the last days on Nyla, but he always came back to check on Carrie and Irie. One evening, Carrie stood near the Ark's massive observation window. Stars stretched, forever in every direction. Nyla was just a faint glow behind them now. She heard footsteps. Alex joined her. "Still can't sleep?" he asked. Carrie shook her head. "My dreams are loud." "I know the feeling." She looked at him. "You lost people too?" Alex nodded slowly. "Friends, good ones. We came in to save who we could, but most of us didn't make it out." Carrie turned her eyes back to the stars. "I want to go back someday," she said. "Not now, not soon, but one day." Alex studied her face. "To rebuild? To remember?" They stood in silence for a while. Then the intercom above them beeped. "Lieutenant Alex, report to command. Priority message received." He frowned. "We weren't expecting any transmissions." Carrie followed him to the command deck. Donai was already there, arms crossed, watching the screen. A young tech pointed at the console. "We received the signal a few minutes ago. It's faint, non-human origin. But it's familiar." The screen lit up with symbols, Nylari symbols. Carrie stepped forward, her heart racing. She read the flickering message aloud. Her voice cracked with emotion. "This is Scout Unit 9. We survived. Hiding underground. Skarn patrols still active. We wait for light. We wait for hope." Her hands trembled. "They're alive." Donai leaned forward. "How many?" The message ended with a count. 27. 27. Nylari survivors still on the planet. Kari turned to Alex. "We have to go back." The commander on the deck didn't look surprised. "We've already begun drawing up a recon plan." Alex looked at Carrie. "You're sure?" She nodded. "I know the tunnels. I know the land. And they need someone who didn't give up on them." He gave a small smile. "Then I guess we go together." Donai rolled her shoulder. "Can't leave you two idiots alone again." Irie ran into the room holding Carrie's hand. The child's eyes sparkled when she saw the screen. Carrie lifted her gently. "We're going to find our people." Alex looked at the Earth commander. "We'll need a dropship. Quiet. Fast." "You'll have it," she replied. As the preparations began, Carrie stood still for a moment, thinking about the voice in the message. Tired, scared, but alive. Her world was not gone, just scattered, waiting to be gathered again, and she would be the one to light the way. The Earth Ark's hangar roared with preparation. Engineers checked landing gear, pilots reviewed flight paths, and techs loaded supplies, rations, medkits, portable shields, and signal boosters. At the center of it all stood a ship unlike the others, smaller, sleek, fast. It was built for stealth, for missions that didn't wait for approval. Alex stood at the loading ramp, adjusting his vest. His armor had been patched, polished, and reinforced. The Earth logo now shined on his shoulder, next to a newer mark, the crest of the Nylari, hand-painted by Carrie herself. Donai checked the weapon rack beside him. 3 carbines, 2 pistols, 1 plasma cutter. That's not a lot. "It's enough," Alex replied. Carrie approached quietly, wearing a new suit provided by the Ark's engineers. It was light, flexible, and designed for hybrid terrain. Her crystal blade was now fitted to her arm with a secure strap. She looked stronger, calmer. But inside her heart raced. Irie stood at the edge of the hangar holding a small pack and waving goodbye. The child had insisted on giving Carrie her lucky charm, a carved piece of glowing Nylarian shell. "Bring them back," Irie had whispered. Carrie held the charm tightly. As they boarded, the ship lifted with a soft hum. The walls vibrated gently. Through the front view panel, Nyla came back into view, burned, scarred, and waiting. They descended quickly. The surface was darker now. Skarn units had set up more patrols. Automated turrets lined the cliffs near the old city. but Carrie knew where to go. The message came from the mountain edge, she explained. There are tunnels beneath the old shrine. Few know about them. My father once showed me the path. Danai nodded. Then we go quiet. No lights, no sounds. They landed in the shadows of the cliffs. The ship's cloak engaged, blending it into the rocks. As they stepped out, wind howled around them. It carried dust and echoes, Alex whispered. Back in the fire. They moved carefully, climbing into a narrow fissure. The rock shifted beneath their boots. Carrie led the way, her memory guiding her through ancient stone paths and forgotten carvings. At one point, she paused near a broken statue. Her hand touched the carved face of a Nylari elder. The eyes were cracked, but still held pride. They built these long before the first starship ever landed here, she said. Alex studied. Then your people were always strong. They continued deeper. Hours passed. Finally, they reached a large sealed door hidden behind vines and rubble. This is it, Carrie said. Behind here. She pressed her hand to the panel. Nothing. Power was gone. Alex stepped forward. Let me try. He connected a small power unit to the panel. Lights blinked, then flickered to green. The door slid open, and behind it, in the soft glow of backup lights, stood people, Nylari, thin, tired, but alive. A young guard stepped forward, holding a spear. When he saw Carrie, he froze. Carrie, of the Flame Scouts? She nodded, the guard's eyes filled with tears. We thought everyone was dead. Not everyone, she whispered. The group stepped forward. 27 souls, some injured, some holding children, all with wide eyes. Danae moved to check the injured. Alex looked around, quietly counting every face. Carrie raised her voice gently. We came back for you. And the survivors one by one began to cry. Not from fear, but from the feeling of being remembered. The survivors moved through the tunnels in a quiet line led by Carrie. Many limped. Some were carried. Others walked with hollow eyes. But every single one of them kept moving. Their heads were low, but their feet did not stop. Alex walked near the back, watching their flank. Danae stayed beside a wounded elder, holding his arm, as they passed through the stone corridors. She said little, but her presence gave them strength. The walls echoed with soft footsteps and quiet breath. When they reached the surface again, the night sky was waiting. The Earth dropship sat in its cloaked position, engines humming low. The boarding ramp lowered with a soft hiss. The survivors stared at it, some confused, some afraid. They had never seen such a ship before. Carrie stepped forward. It's safe, she said gently. It's not Skarn, it's human. They followed her up the ramp one by one. Children, elders, scouts, mothers. Each one walked into the warm light of the cabin and left behind the cold of their broken world. When the last Nylari boarded, Carrie turned and looked at the mountains one more time. She had grown up here. She had lost everything here. But now she had saved something too. Alex came up beside her. They're ready. Carrie didn't speak for a moment. She watched the wind stir the dust. Then she looked up. You were right, she said. About what? That we're still here, that someone needed to stay. Alex nodded. Sometimes one voice is enough to remind others to listen. They entered the ship. The ramp closed. The engines lifted them gently into the sky. Inside, the survivors sat in silence. Some cried, some just stared. But for the first time in a long time, they were not surrounded by ruins. They were surrounded by life. As the ship broke the atmosphere, Nyla grew smaller behind them. Danae stood beside Alex. They're going to need a new home. We'll find one, he said. Carrie sat among her people, holding the young girl Irie in her arms. The child had not said a word during the journey, but now she looked up. Where are we going? Irie asked. Carrie smiled gently. To a place where the stars are kind. The girl smiled for the first time. When they returned to the Earth Ark, The hangar was filled with people. Humans lined the bay, ready to receive the survivors, doctors, engineers, diplomats, and something else. Hope. The commander stepped forward. We've prepared temporary quarters, food, water, anything they need. Kari nodded, though her legs felt weak. Thank you. You'll have a voice now, the commander said. Earth has agreed. A place will be made for your people. Alex stood nearby, watching as the Nilari were guided into the ship's halls, wrapped in warm blankets, given food and rest. Danai came to him. You think it's enough? No, he replied, but it's a start. Later that night, Kari stood at the observation deck once more. Alex joined her. She held a small glowing orb in her hand. It was her father's memory light, a Nilari tradition to honor the fallen. She pressed her palm against the glass, and the orb floated upward, drifting into the stars beyond the window. For those who stayed, she whispered. Alex watched it disappear. They'll be remembered. Kari nodded. They thought we were helpless, she said. They abandoned us. But not everyone, Alex said. No, she whispered. One human stayed, and that was enough to save a world. They stood, together in silence, not warriors, not leaders, just two souls who didn't give up when everyone else did. And in that silence, the galaxy turned a little softer, because even the smallest light can break through endless dark. If someone dares to, carry it.